Right, unless the label puts you up to it to create more controversy around the record, so that we would talk about it on this podcast, so that the social media world would
Oh, I'm sure they're at Interscope right now, just rubbing their palms together, thinking, Dame and Payne One are going to talk about us.
No, I mean.
What's going down? It's DJ Payne One. This is the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast, episode 30. Yes, I got the numbers right finally. How are you feeling, Dame?
A little tired this morning, but other than that, I'm feeling good, man. It's been a productive week. It's been a long week, and I got a long day ahead of me. But yeah, I'm feeling good.
I'm pretty exhausted, but you're not supposed to be. You drink green juice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so you should be feeling like an Olympic runner. But we have a lot of stuff to talk about. I don't know what we're going to cover. All of my topics are kind of vague because, I don't know, lately I feel like I've just been hanging out in the dark, piss-soaked alleys of the online music creator neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? And it's just...
You gotta take a break from that, man.
Well, I don't know how I end up there. I don't walk there.
Because you respond to these idiots. That's why you get trapped, and I don't know what compels you to respond to so many idiots, but that's probably how it happens.
No, I don't. I actually don't. That was part of my my New Year's resolution, was to not argue with people on the internet. It's a crazy time that we're in right now. I just, maybe I'm coming to think that maybe I'm part of the problem, in the sense that, a lot of my content has always been about financially empowering artists, and yours too. So maybe we're both just giving information out that people aren't ready for, in the sense that, if someone started making beats or started recording music yesterday, and then they see one of our videos and it's about Facebook ads, they might think, well, I need to get my money up, or I don't know. My fear is just that the music is becoming less important, and now with the internet and all of the great platforms that are out there that allow talented and devoted musicians to make a living off of doing what they love, that's just kind of miseducating people, just because they're not understanding what that really takes. That if you see somebody succeeding on the internet, and you're just coming up currently in today's climate, that you're focusing on their monetary success and their fans and their social media success, rather than their journey as an artist, which is an integral part of that. Like all people, with very, very few exceptions, even if you don't like their music, they love music and they love the process. People might look at me and say, I'm always talking about optimizing Facebook ads or royalty collection. Yeah, I am, but that does not predate my love for music. That doesn't predate the years and years of purely musical work that I did, and most people are like that. Most artists that are in positions to make a living off of their art have already gone through that process. And we would, if we had to get day jobs tomorrow, we'd still love music and we'd still make music. It's not this kind of frantic money grab that I think the current internet climate might make it out to be. So I don't know. I hate to think that because I did emphasize the career element of my journey as a producer, that I ever would in a million years want people to take away a love for money more than a love for the music from that content.
Well, I mean, I think two things. One, you're probably talking to a minority group of people, or maybe it's not a minority. I don't know. Well, the truth is, there's more people pursuing music than are gonna be able to actually have a career in music. That's just flat out facts. So because of that, there's gonna be a lot of frustration. There's gonna be a lot of finger pointing because most people won't be able to make a career in music, and that's what they claim to love. So I expect to see a lot of frustration and finger pointing and excuses, and because that's just how this industry's set up. Not everybody's going to be able to make a living in music. I would love to have like the actual number to say, hey, this percentage of people are going to be able to make a career in music. It's not that easy and transparent, like it is for the NBA or the NFL, because there's a finite number of spots for those teams, because there's a certain amount of players on each team. There's a certain amount of teams. But it's probably, the chances are probably better than that. But, I expect frustration. I expect, people to be blaming everybody in the world except for themselves, excuses. That's just, I've come to just accept it.
Well, no one's blaming me. I'm just thinking, if I go on the internet and everything is money driven, the fact that I'm getting producers in my inbox all the time saying, hey, I want to be your next producer, let me explain. And then they give me this whole pitch about how they're a dope producer. And it's like, no, you're not. I've never heard of you. But yet you're so desperate to make money, or you're so miseducated because you think that what you have to do from jump in this game is get the bag from anybody, that you're emailing me, who's a producer who's been doing this longer than you, trying to sell me beats. And then the whole community is cool with that. There's been some kind of shift, because I get getting spammed by people. It happens all the time. Producers are going to reach out, hey, what do you think of my music? What do you think about music? Some of it's disingenuous. I think a lot of people in their heads think, if I just send this person my music, they're going to turn around and do something for me and put me in a position, which just really doesn't happen like that. But it just seems like the new way is this pseudo business person approach, where now you're not really learning the principles of good marketing. You're learning like the fast and dirty way to reach people, to sell them a product. There's no relationship building. There's no process. I guess that's the thing. The process is becoming lost. Because some of us love marketing. We have conversations with Mike Trampy all the time. Someone like him doesn't hate marketing. He's been doing it forever, and he's good at it, and he figured it out on his own. He didn't go to school for it or anything. I don't believe. Maybe I'm misrepresenting his resume, but as far as I know, all the online stuff came from trial and error and figuring it out and talking to his colleagues. He may love it, but he's not going to get desperate and start doing stupid stuff or breaking any kind of laws just to reach people and do so in this carpet bombing sort of way, where it's like, I'm just going to email everybody I possibly can. I'm just gonna, and obviously it's easy to do. Like, if this were real life, if you had to knock on every one of your neighbor's door and in hopes that one of them wants to buy protein supplements or pre-workout that you're selling, and you just don't care where you're going. You might go to an a senior living facility and try to sell a bunch of 90-year-olds some creatine. That's what's kind of happening now, but obviously it's a lot easier because you don't have to physically walk around or physically pick up the phone and cold call people. So you're just sending out an email to 1,000 email addresses that you didn't actually gain from any kind of process. You didn't talk to these people. They don't know you. They didn't opt in. They don't want your product. They didn't ask for your product, but here you are trying to sell it to them. And it's just a weird place that we're at as musicians in the internet, because on the one hand, we have all of these amazing ways to turn our passion into a career, into a way to support us, into a way to get money and make a living. But then on the other hand, you have people who want the livelihood but aren't ready yet in terms of their development as artists, in terms of, like, Hey, you
Right.
make beats, cool. You make music, cool. Have you performed? Have you actually produced an album? Have you um, toured? Have you done the groundwork? Have you shaken hands? Have you networked? Have you done any of this? Well, maybe take a step back because you don't really, you're not owed a career just because you do something.
Right. The only thing I can say to that, we should jump into our topics, but the only other thing I'd say is that there are some people that are able to skip the line and get lucky, and
Yeah.
those stories seem to get out a lot faster, and a lot wider than the story, and then most of the stories of success in terms of actually putting in the work. So I think it encourages people to try to find the lottery ticket as opposed to, really build a foundation, that can support long-term growth.
Speaking of opportunities, are we talking about opportunities? No, we're talking about depressing stuff. So let's talk about something more positive. Dame, you want to introduce our news?
Yeah, so the what I wanted to talk about today is our collab for the crown contest. And the reason that I want to talk about it today is one, to just let people know about it, but two, there was somebody that hit me up on Twitter because I responded to another tweet, that was about a Funk Flex opportunity, right? So Funk Flex has this opportunity where you submit your music for $30, and he says it's the opportunity of a lifetime. And you have the possibility of potentially winning a flight out to New York, some studio time with him, open up for Megan the Stallion. And people were commenting, and I think even DJ Booth retweeted and commented that, they didn't necessarily call it a scam, but it didn't really sound like a good way to spend $30. I've seen Funk Flex post quite a few of these over the years. I've never really seen, and granted, I didn't follow the contest all the way through, but it's a lot different than what we do. And somebody tweeted back saying, Isn't that the same thing that you guys are doing with your collab for the crown contest?" And I just wanted to explain to people the difference between, the Funk Flex opportunity, and collab for the crown. So in collab for the crown, we don't ask you to do anything that you shouldn't already be doing, right? So the entry into collab for the crown is, the purchase of a DJ Payne beat. So right off the bat, you get value, unless you think, Payne's beats are of no value.
Don't
Uh,
even give that option, Dame.
so right off the bat, you're just paying because after the contest, you can continue to use this beat. You can, make either use that song and the song that you made for the collab for the crown contest, and you can distribute that through Spotify. You can put it on YouTube. You can monetize it the same way you do other beats that you buy on BeatStars. So there's already value off the bat. So when we used to do the Don't Fuck Up Our Beats contest, for Funk Volume, it developed a brand, and it became kind of a big thing where, once you submitted your entry, it got on the contest platform. And I used to check. I used to like click through to the YouTube videos to make sure that that video was being viewed more than your normal videos. And I would say for 90% of them, that was the case. So in addition to, getting rights to a beat, you have a platform that gives you at least a few more views than you would on your own. So there's a little bit more exposure because now your video is on a contesting platform, and we're constantly sending people to it. All the other contestants are constantly sending people to it. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say your video is going to get a million views, but like I said, like I double checked and made sure, that at least during the Don't Fuck Up Our Beats contest during the Funk Volume era, like all those videos, I would say 90+% of them got a little bit more exposure than they would on their own. So the value of the beat itself, an opportunity for more exposure, And I think for a lot of people, it just gives you a little push. It just encourages you. It gives you like a more competitive environment to create. It pushes you to network because in order to compete for a collab, in order to submit for an entry, you have to work with somebody else, right? So we're kind of giving you a push to promote yourself, make music. It's a competitive environment, so hopefully you're like giving it your all. So to me, that's worth the price of the beat, right? Oh, and then lastly, we'll also have like these weekly review sessions where we're going to be giving live feedback to as many as we can. That's not going to be for everybody, but if you tune in and submit your link live, we'll give our feedback as well. So all of that, plus the chance if you do win, we have a cash prize. We have a surprise collaboration that the winners are going to be able to get with a pretty well-known artist.
I hate that we can't talk about that, right? When can we announce who the artist is?
Probably when we officially announce the contest with the contest video, because I'm probably gonna meet up with him and he's gonna be in the contest video. So I just wanted to it definitely is a well-known artist. It's not like well-known like Drake or anything like that.
But it's not like Dame rapping.
Yeah, it's
not
definitely
that.
not B. Although that would be quite a prize to get a verse from me.
I would pay $20 to submit to that.
So hopefully people understand that that's a huge difference between, submitting money to send a song for the possibility of something, and like all the reviews from his prior contests are typically negative. I've never submitted anything myself, but we did just go on Reddit, and mind you, it's Reddit, but it looked like there was a person that pretty much explained his experience submitting for his contest, and it explained how he just clicked through to Facebook Messenger, and it kind of offered him like a $20 submission. He did that, and then it just kept offering him more stuff to pay for. Right? It was a funnel essentially. That's not what we do. We spend a lot of time like crafting this contest, strategizing it, coming up with the prizes. We essentially make it so that it's what you should be doing anyway, right? It's equivalent to like me maybe playing in a basketball tournament when I was younger. It's like I play basketball for free. Now you're going to give me the opportunity to potentially win some money. Hell yeah! Like why would I not do that?
Did you ever get money for basketball?
Oh yeah, no. There was one in college. There was a tournament that we played in for money, and we won that. But when I was little, I don't know if you have like Hoop It Up. You're not a hooper, but like there's like a national like tournament that used to be called Hoop It Up. I think Nike does like a 3-on-3 tournament, but we ball for free. Like that was what we love to do. So I feel like with artists, if you love to just make music, why not enter a contest where you have the potential to win something and just compete? Hip hop is supposed to be a competitive art. So I know a lot of people shy away from it, but I think it should be a fun experience. It's fun on our side most of the time, except there are some people that get on our nerves with asking us questions that are clear as day right on the website. So responding to customer service inquiries, that's not fun. But like seeing what different people do with the same beats is pretty dope and interesting to watch and listen to.
Yeah, there were some amazing music videos from the last one, and songs that became amazing music videos. I want to bring something up that we already kind of touched on, so I don't know what more you'll want to add, but it inspired me to think a little deeper into the conversation. So Tory Lanez sent out those tweets or Instagram posts. I forget. I mean, they were all over the internet once they were out. But he was frustrated with Interscope. I forget what he said, but he kind of threatened them that he was going to expose what was happening in Interscope. So fast forward about a month, 2 months. I see the same sentiment being expressed by KCamp, who I didn't realize is signed to Interscope through his imprint, but I believe he has Empire distribution. I honestly don't know how these kinds of deals are structured. But he has a huge viral hit right now called Lottery, produced by Reezy Renegade, which is he's a dope producer. He's the person that I actually saw repost these tweets from KCamp, and KCamp was actually a little more specific than Tory Lanez was, because I know your issue with one of your issues with Tory Lanez calling out Interscope was that he didn't actually say why he was calling it out. He just kind of made some vague statement about how he was sick of Interscope playing with him. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I just think that's pretty weak. Sometimes I be feeling like the labels tell them to do this just because it drums up, a little controversy. It gets them, gets their fans riled up. But anyway, that essentially was it. But
yeah. Well, so K-Camp is now saying that he's annoyed with Interscope, wants to be let out of the. Well, his sentiment was, if you don't want to push my single or invest in my single, let me out of the deal. And the single he's referring to is Lottery, which from all perspectives, I would say by any measure is a successful viral song. I mean, it's literally viral on TikTok to the point that Lizzo just dropped something to it. A TikTok dance, and it kind of doesn't get bigger than that right now unless one of the Kardashians get it. But his point was that he invested all his own money into promoting that. He did all the legwork, and the label didn't assist with that. And he's wondering why they didn't, given the success. Because another conversation that you were having, you posted it on our Instagram page, was the conversation about numbers. Do numbers matter? People are always talking about, well, numbers don't matter, blah blah blah. Of course, numbers matter. So, in the context of a label deal, numbers definitely matter. You could have the most amazing album ever, and if it sells 1,000 copies first week, and you're signed to a major, you're gone. You can kiss that label deal goodbye. But here's somebody who is using and successfully using the most up-to-date viral marketing on the most up-to-date popular platforms, TikTok. We know what happens with TikTok. We saw it happen with Old Town Road. And if he already did it himself, obviously I don't know the full story. I'm just reading his tweets. But at the end of the day, the label still does have the final say as to what they want to invest in, as to what they want to promote. And I've been in that situation, not where I've had a viral hit, but where I've been signed to a label. And I have nothing bad to say about the deal that I signed to the label, and it was a major. But the fact that that they had to sign off on the music and wouldn't was confusing to me, because, and I'm sure KCamp is feeling the same. I'm sure everyone who's found themselves in that situation is feeling the same way, because it's like, you signed me based on the music that I made, and now you don't want to put out the music that I make, in spite of.
So they don't want to put it out. Wait, are you saying
well,
they
don't want to out, or they don't want to? I guess from what I gathered, and I'm making assumptions, and I hate doing this, but it seemed to me, just filling in the blanks from his tweets, that he did all the investing and all the groundwork into making sure that this single was successful. And now that it's successful, he's expecting label support. I'm sure he was expecting label support throughout the whole process. But you know how labels are. Like we said, they're just humans. They don't always make decisions that we understand, and they don't always make the best decisions, period. A lot of the whole Drake conversation about how many labels passed up on Drake. Obviously, they made a mistake. If you passed up on Drake, that was a L. But it happens on smaller levels. Like they pass up on singles. There's no way to determine if a single is going to be a hit or not. A label could invest $1 million into it. It could still flop.
Well,
But
it sounds like the song is moving. I
yeah,
mean, on its own, it's kind of organic. I mean, there's no. I mean, unless it's in your deal, if a song, and I've never heard or seen this. Maybe it's just an artist's expectation that if a song starts doing better, the label should put more money into it. Unless that's in your deal, you can't get mad if the label just sits back and lets the fire burn. Like that wasn't, as long as they did what they said they would do when they signed you, gave you whatever budget, whatever advance, then they did that. Like, if you he obviously he invested in whatever he invested in to get the song going. It's doing well. um Maybe the label should do something. Like, it would make sense, like if you can put more fuel on the fire. But as long as they lived up to what they said they would do in their contract, artists can't really complain. But I wish I had more details. I wish, I know somebody over at KCamp's team, but I doubt they would come on here and talk about the situation. But it's just so hard to do without like specific information. And that's part of the reason why I get frustrated when artists have these outbursts online, just to getting their fans all riled up, and we don't really have any of the information.
at the same time, I think you can understand the frustration that an artist is going through at that point when, you know, even art aside and their personal connection to the art aside. Because when I was in the situation where we were submitting to the label and the label kept saying, no, we don't like this, we don't like this, we don't like this, we don't want to put this out, we don't want to put, it's like, damn, man, this is really starting to get, what's the word? We're starting to feel dejected because the people that signed us and gave us a bunch of money and at one point we're all ears and, yeah, this is so amazing, we love your music, are now just kind of wiping their ass with it. So it's a weird 180.
But we don't know if that's the case. Like,
no, I'm saying that's the case with me, but he has the numbers. We didn't have the numbers. We just had a record that was unreleased. So if we had a record that was unreleased or that was released and we're like, look, it's already at 100,000 streams and growing every day and 1 million views on YouTube, I feel like this is the one, and it's not just me saying that because I made it. It's because the people are telling us with their numbers and with their support that this is a record that has a lot of potential.
But the song is the song is moving, and sometimes like success on TikTok doesn't. And again, going back to making assumptions, maybe he thinks that just because the song has been successful online, that should translate into radio play, and he wants a radio budget, and he wants the song to do well on radio because he wants radio success. And not all songs that go viral online fit the format of radio, work at radio. I mean, it could be that the label did take the song to some radio and got some initial feedback, and the feedback wasn't positive. So they were like, okay, this is just a viral hit. This is going to do well online, but it's not going to have the life at radio that KCamp wants, and there's just a disagreement there. That's very possible.
But to play devil's advocate, one, as someone who worked in radio, a lot of times radio people don't know shit either. I mean, we're all humans. We can't really predict with 100% certainty what's going to work and what's not. So I remember my PD would come to me with records and say, "Yeah, this is going to be major. This is going to be massive. The labels are really supporting it, but I just think the song is great, and it's going to be huge." Within a week, it was off of all lists completely because it just didn't work. So maybe the opposite is true. Not maybe. Certainly, there are records that.
But all I'm saying is maybe they got the advice from someone. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Like, maybe they should have put more money into it. You don't know. But again, one, that wasn't probably the label's commitment in the contract. They're not breaking their contractual agreement. And
Right.
two, maybe they tried to plant the seed and the feedback, or maybe it played a couple times and it wasn't Shazammed enough, because in the radio world, like, they go off a lot of times, they go off Shazam numbers, like how many people are looking up this song once they play it a few times, and maybe it wasn't Shazammed enough. I don't know, but at the end of the day, if they didn't break their contractual agreement, you can't get that upset. And the more upset you get, I feel like, and maybe the label did push him to a point where he felt like he had to do an outburst, but that doesn't help, right? Unless the label puts you up to it to create more controversy around the record, so that we would talk about it on this podcast, so that the social media world would
I'm sure they're at Interscope right now, just rubbing their palms together, thinking, "Oh, Dame and Payne One are going to talk about us."
No, I mean, you get what I mean, though. Like, other
Yeah.
platforms talk about it. Like, it's stupid. I think these artists just need to, again, that's just part of their marketing, and this is what they wanted to do.
Oh, that's
Like,
smart. If that's kind of genius. If that's what they're doing. If that's Interscope's plan.
I'm actually just tired of artists complaining. I mean, genius, I guess, but it's like, that's like as genius as saying, sex sells. Genius, like, all right, we know that controversy sells. We get it. Like, to me, those aren't genius marketing tactics. That's I don't
Maybe
call
genius is the wrong word, but it's new, at least. It's not something that's been run into
to
the
get
ground.
to get artists to complain, to drum up. That's new.
That's been happening as a intentional tactic from the label.
I'm sure that's been intentional for years. I mean, that any type of controversy, like, feeds sales. So to me, that's not new, and it's playing off of, like, just kind of what people think and believe. So I don't think that's genius at all. I mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't do it because it works, and I guess it's not necessarily hurting anybody. But I definitely wouldn't put it in the genius category
Well,
when
I
it
think
comes
that's
to.
what's interesting about it. It's not hurting anybody, least of all the label. Because if the label now, I'm just talking in general. I'm not even talking about a specific situation. Because we're not in these meetings with the labels, and we have no authority to be in those rooms, and we're not privy to these conversations where they're strategizing. But if they were strategizing in a way that they're doing a risk benefit analysis, where it's like, if we put out this controversy that makes us look bad and the artist that's signed to us look good, that artist is going to get support in the form of streams and sales and this and that, and we're going to get a piece of that. And we're such a big major label that nothing bad's going to happen to us. Some people are going to be mad, but who cares? We're getting money off of that, and we remain exactly in the same position we were before this happened, just a little bit richer. I don't know.
That's how it
I
works.
personally wouldn't have thought of that.
But that's how it works. I mean, the labels aren't going anywhere. And we talked about it, like, the labels never jump out and tell their side of the story, because at the end of the day, they don't care. There's usually not I mean, sometimes people will call out, like, Joey IE, or they'll call out particular people, but a lot of times it's just a vague rock thrown at the label. The label's not suffering. The label owns that music. So, that's probably a big reason why we never hear from them.
Yeah, no, they don't. Well, Dan, I mean, I hope that's not what's happening, honestly, and I hope that things just got resolved. I don't know. Do you agree? I sometimes do feel like, and I hate that this is the truth, but I've seen it happen where you sometimes have to kick up dust just to get people to have that conversation with you, or just to get them to call you, or just to get them to return an email or something. And we talked about it last time with the way that labels are structured. It's just people. It could happen at a day job where you want to get a meeting with somebody and you can't get a meeting with someone in upper management until you kick up a bunch of dust or send a strongly worded email to somebody or put some pressure on somebody, which is always a risk, but unfortunately sometimes it's effective.
Yeah, but I just would encourage people to use that as like a last option. I always think that building solid, good relationships with people and communicating well is the best route. I don't know how much, KCamp has worked the building at, Interscope or Empire, and made his rounds, remembered people's names, showed up on time to meetings, come with a positive attitude to all of the meetings. And maybe he's done all this and this was his last straw. But, for the other people that are thinking about signing or working with a label, give them a real shot. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you work with anybody, give them if you go in skeptical to a relationship, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't, because you're going to give a half-ass effort. If you don't really believe these people can help you, you're not going to give them what they need to be successful, right? So eventually they are going to fail. And then at the end, you're going to sit back and be like, oh, man, I knew that shit wasn't going to work. And it's like, well, yeah, it didn't work because you didn't provide them what they needed to give them a real shot at being successful with you. So just don't be that guy or girl.
Why is my girl going outside in the dead of winter looking like an extra in a Katy Perry music video? Anyway, on that note, collab for the crown contest. We're gonna have an announcement for that soon. Seriously, it's an announcement I'm excited about. Our last couple our last collab for the crown contest that I was involved in was really amazing artistically, in terms of just networking. But this time we have a surprise, and when I say a surprise, it's cool. It's a nice situation for artists, and I'm a little jealous that I didn't get a chance to win this particular prize because I'm not eligible. We'll see you on episode 31. Appreciate you tuning in. Peace.
Peace.